Hello, good evening. Praise the Lord. This is your friend Jose Velez, thanking you for joining us this evening. Thank God for you. I want you to hit that like button. I want you to share this video. We're going to have a very brief conversation this evening. I want to welcome you to Mind Ministry. We want to thank God first and foremost for this opportunity to come tonight into your living room, giving honor to God. And second of all, we want to honor and give a thanks to Sister Francesca Diaz, who is the visionary of this Mind Ministry, who's literally blessing people all around this world. So thank you for joining us this evening as we have another beautiful conversation coming up using the title of the theme, This Is My Story. And I am honored today. To bring to you a family member, my very own cousin. His name is Joey Velez. He's going to come in just shortly, but there he is. Amen. So, and Joey is with his sister, Monica, who, along with Joey, are going to have this brief discussion with me. So, good afternoon, or good evening, family. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Thank you for
Uh,
having us.
Thank you for accepting. I know that you just got home and you're gonna be back at work in a few hours, so we won't be too lengthy. But I want to thank you for sharing with me. This is not the first time you and I have had this discussion. A few years back, we met at that Brooklyn church, my church, back in the day, and we met there along with our uh, cousin Sandra, who recently passed away, and we discussed about cancer awareness. So, Mind Ministry. If you don't know, Mind Ministry is this ministry that centers on mental health, right? And it has dedicated one program a month on cancer awareness. And this is the English version of that program. And so Sister Diaz has considered me to host this program in English. And the first person that I thought of was you, because again, uh, in our first conversation a couple of years ago, you were you were you were adamant and you right away say yes, that you wanted to share your story because you understand that sharing your story blesses other people, right?
Yep. Yes.
So I want to thank you because there's a lot of people, that are kind of afraid or embarrassed for some reason of sharing their story, right? And um, I can't grasp it. I don't understand it. I don't judge them, but I'm glad that you're one of those that you're willing to share your story. Uh, and so, we're gonna start our conversation. So tell me, Joey. Tell me, tell us your story. The title of this theme is of the theme of this segment is, this is my story. So we are giving you this platform for you to share with us your story, your journey.
Okay. Again, thank you for having me. Or anytime you call and you say you want me to tell my story, I'm gonna be there for you because I truly believe that you and our two aunts who are no longer with us, Titi Elia and Titi Damari, um, when I was at my worst, you guys showed up and you prayed for me. And I honestly believe from the day you came, I just started to get better. The doctors, they were in shock of how I recovered. You couldn't even recognize me if you would have saw me back there. I mean, I know you remember you were there.
Mhm.
Um, I couldn't recognize myself when I saw myself. And it's funny. I was just telling Monica that you chose today because it was 11 years ago. Tomorrow actually was the day I was diagnosed with cancer. March 28th,
Wow.
2023 was the day I was
Wow.
diagnosed. So,
Not not,
you
not
know,
2023.
2023.
And that's when
I'm sorry, 2013. Sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
2013, March 28th, 2013. Yeah. Uh,
Because definitely our aunts wouldn't be there.
no, they wouldn't be there. Well, I mean, in spirit,
Yeah.
yeah. But 2013. So for about a week prior, I wasn't feeling well. Maybe about 2 weeks prior, I wasn't really feeling well.
on my birthday.
Yeah. My sister's birthday was March 11th, and I
Mhm.
remember, she wanted to go. She wanted to have a party for her birthday, and I bought, like, the first sign was I bought these new shoes, and when you buy new shoes, you don't break them in. You'll probably get like a callus on the back of your foot, on the heel of your foot. So
Mhm.
that night, I got a callus on my foot, and I remember, we went to the party. It was fine. I went home. I went to sleep, and the next morning, the wound didn't heal. I bled the whole night.
Wow.
Um, about a week or two later, something bit my leg. I think it was a spider bite or something, and it started to get infected, and it just wouldn't heal.
Mhm.
So I was getting fevers every night. Um, my wife at the time was telling me we need to go to the doctor, see what's going on. And I'm a workaholic, so I kept on saying, I'll go Friday, I'll go Friday. It was like a Monday, and every night I would get a fever. Every day I was feeling a little better, but I felt run down. And then that Friday, I remember I got home from work, and I couldn't even get out of my car. I was so weak. So I told my wife we need to call an ambulance. And I'm thinking it's just an infection because of the bite I had on my leg. So I go to the hospital, and they say, yeah, you have some type of infection on your leg, and they do these blood tests, and they ask me, they tell me that my immune system was incredibly weak, and my platelets were very dangerously low. So they ran a bunch of tests. I was there for a few days, and I'm thinking I'm just gonna get some antibiotics. They're gonna let me go. And then when they told me about my platelets and everything, that's when things got really serious. And after a few tests, I did a bone marrow biopsy, and that's when they confirmed that I had acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Yeah.
Which means what?
It's a blood cancer. It's a blood cancer.
Blood cancer. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
from there my sister and my mother, uh they found this hospital in Long Island. That's where we live now, in Long Island. They found this hospital. We went there, and it I stayed there for about 40 days, I remember, and I did my first rounds of chemo. And the first person that I called, because my family was there, my sister was there, my mother was there for me, and my brothers, and my wife at the time. Everybody was there for me, and I loved them, and I appreciated it because they were there. At the same time, I felt that I was being a burden to them because, I felt bad. I remember I kept on telling them I'm sorry that I'm doing this. I'm sorry. I kept on saying it over and over again. Um, when I was in the hospital, the first person I called was my cousin Sandra, because I knew that she was also dealing with breast cancer at the time. And it's bad. I haven't
Sandra,
spoke to. Go ahead.
Sandra's journey started some time ago as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was
Around
I
that
want to
same
say a
time.
couple of years before me.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
I felt horrible because I haven't spoken to her in so long, but I didn't even have her phone number. I had her on Facebook, so I
Mhm.
I sent her a message, and I told her, look, this is what's happening. I'm in the hospital, and I'm scared. And right away, she texted me right away. She gave me her phone number, and we spent like the whole night talking to each other, and she just told me that, look, everything's gonna be fine. You have your family, you have God. As long as you don't give up, everything's gonna be okay. And she was right. Um, my doctor, I'll never forget. He said you have a 50-50 chance. You're gonna go through hell and back. Those are his words, and he was not lying. It's
Wow.
something that I wouldn't wish on anyone.
Wow. Um, that's amazing to me, and maybe I'll say something about that. That Sandra, even in her Sandra was always awesome, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Even during, it doesn't surprise me that even though she was going through her own issues with cancer, she immediately called, right? She
Immediately,
immediately
yeah.
called and started, talking to you about, hey, have faith, God, and family, and all that.
Hmm.
And it's funny because for some reason today, and I don't recall exactly why, but I was going through some text messages, and Sandra's name, and I was looking at one of our last messages from a few weeks back, obviously, and I kept just, for some reason, I kept looking at all our messages, and in all our messages that I'm checking up on her or whatever, she always took time to say, "So how you doing, cousin? Enough about me. How you doing?" And I think that's awesome. So let's get back to you, Joe. So how long was your procedure? Was there any operation that needed to happen? How
Um,
many therapies and such?
no operations. I had 66 blood transfusions, about 38 platelet transfusions. I did a bone marrow biopsy twice a month for about 2 years or so, and then it turned into every other month. I did spinal taps once a month, chemotherapy about 5 times a week, and it was from 2013 to 2017.
Wow, wow.
And it's funny, it's almost to the day. So
Okay.
I my last chemotherapy was in March 2017, and my first one was in March 2013.
So we're talking about 7 years now that you have been cancer free,
Yep.
right? All honor, praise go to God.
Amen.
You mentioned before that about myself, along with our two beautiful aunts, Titi Eli and Titi Damaris. Um, I remember that was a Saturday, right? That was a Saturday right after Bible studies, I believe, that we went to your home, right? We went to your home, and are you okay? You having a difficult time? I think you're muted. I think you mute yourself. Well, as you fix that, I'll continue to talk. Can you hear me? You can't hear me? Are we having technical issues? Okay. So, all right. Can you guys hear me or no? You guys can't hear me, and you guys are on mute. But anyway, I'll continue to talk while this issue is resolved. God willing, pronto. Um, so we went to visit my two aunts and myself, and I believe my wife was with us as well. We went over and to Joey's house, and we prayed, and he was in bad condition. But of course, that's not because of us, right? Uh, well, it looks like Joey completely knocked out. He's having some type of technical issues. Hopefully, he'll join us quickly. But we went over to Joey's house, right? We went to Joey's house on a Saturday right after Bible studies. I remember that we walked into his house, and it's all about believing. I believe that God is able to do abundantly above that we may ask or even think, right? God is able. God is able, and it's not because of
Yeah,
us.
sorry about that.
No, no, good, good. Don't worry about it. I was just telling the folks that that you mentioned myself and my two aunts, but it's not us, right?
No.
We believe in a God that is able to do abundantly above anything that we may ask or even think, right? And it blesses God to have faith. And we went there with faith. We went to see you, and I remember praying for you in that room, and you were able to get up from the bed and walk out to the living room, and you just you kept telling us, man, I feel strong, I feel healthy, I feel, and then shortly thereafter we got the news that you were totally healed. And we give God the praise for that. God
Amen.
is able to God is able to do exceedingly. Amen. So in the few minutes that we have left, I promise not to keep you because you got to get up early. But
I'm here for you.
um,
Here.
you mentioned not wanting to be a burden. Here you are, facing cancer, dealing with cancer, going to chemotherapy. Were you working at the time?
I was working at the time as a school bus driver.
Okay.
But because of the chemotherapy, they told me that I couldn't do it because they didn't know the effects it could have on me while driving a bus, especially with precious cargo. So I stopped working completely, which was
Mhm.
hard because I'm a workaholic. I work all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, you mentioned that.
It's hard to let go in a way,
Right,
and
right, right.
as much faith as I have in God, it's still hard to let go and give control 100%. You know,
I
um,
feel you. I feel you.
you know, when I was really struggling with that, a nurse came up to me and she said, "Look, there's really nothing you can do about it.
Mm.
Your job is to heal." So I just let go and let God.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So it became in your head, right? I'm sure that either now live or in the replay, someone who's probably dealing with that issue, right? That when cancer comes, man, everything stops, right?
100%. Yeah.
You can't work no more. You gotta stop. You gotta go to chemotherapy. Everything is on hold, right? And I could imagine that's difficult when you're used to working. When you're used to you say yourself, you're a workaholic, you're independent, and now you have to stop and you have to depend on someone else. It's difficult, right?
Yeah.
But the one thing you had on your side is, you know, Joey and Monica and Joey, right? Not from Friends, but from family, not from the show Friends, right? But you guys, as far as I can remember, and you guys know that we hanged out when we were kids,
Yeah.
right? You guys came over to put them in Knickerbocker or wherever we were at, Bushwick, wherever. We came over. There was nights that I remember, 4th of July, hanging out in Brooklyn and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I can't think of a time of seeing Joey and not seeing Monica, or seeing Monica and not seeing Joey. Like you guys are brothers and sisters, but you're almost like twins, even though Monica is 2 years older than you, and she won't admit it, right? 'Cause
I'll admit it. I'll
right?
admit
You'll admit it, right? And happy belated birthday to both of you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
But you guys are tight knit. You guys I've always seen that, and that's beautiful. Two brothers and sisters that are tight knit. That's wonderful. Um, uh, so my question is to Monica, right? So Monica, Joe is your baby brother, right?
Mhm.
And I'm the older brother of four, well now three, right? Because my sister passed away. But as an older person, as the older of the group, you almost take a role of leadership, right? You almost take a mom and dad type of approach to your little brother, right?
Yeah,
Um,
sometimes
kind
he's like
of.
I call him my little big brother.
Your little brother, yeah, he has the body. He's
Yeah.
fit, which is awesome. But tell us from you guys grew up together. There's never a time that you guys been apart, and you guys are really, really, really tight. One of the closest, when I think about brothers and sisters being tight, I think about you and Joey. I think about Mara and Sandra, right? I think about Judy and Evelyn and all those. You guys are great. So tell us, what happened to you from Joey just discussed from his own experience of how he was felt, how he was feeling, and how him feeling sick for 2 weeks led him to go get himself checked out. But tell me from a family standpoint, from that big sister's viewpoint, your brother comes to tell you, "Hey, I got cancer." What is your reaction? What do you do?
Well, when he told us, he told us in the hospital. We were all together.
Mhm.
My mom, my other brothers, his daughter, his wife at the time. And he just looked at me and he was like, if it was like it was just me and him in the room, but he was talking to everybody. And all I can think about is just I can't like lose him, that's he's like my other half.
Right,
I
right.
can't picture myself not having him there. So
Mhm.
I couldn't like break down because I needed to be strong for him because he honestly when he looked at me it felt like he was just like asking like lost, needed help, like he couldn't understand. And you know I mean I cracked a joke to make him laugh because we deal with tough times through humor sometimes. So I
Right,
cracked a
right,
joke
right.
and eased the tension. And then when we had time to talk, I told him I'll always be there. I mean, I can't understand what he's going through, but I am gonna go through with him. I mean, when he lost his hair, I was the first one to shave his head.
Okay.
Um, I was
Right.
there every day in the hospital. I would sometimes sleep at the
She used to spend
hospital
the night. Yeah.
and then go to work because I used to work for that hospital that he stayed in. So I would just, go to sleep, wake up, and go down the block to work.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but it's just I had to be there for him, because he's always been the strong one for me. When I
Mhm.
needed something, I would always go to him because he was my rock.
Okay,
So it was my turn to be his.
that's beautiful. Now, let me ask you. So, in turn, Monica Velez has her own life, right? You're working. You have family. You have bills. You have plans. All of a sudden, your brother that you love, that is attached to your hip, says, "Hey, I'm sick." How does that decision come about that you have to become uh you have to become uh it's not about you, it's about him, right? So how do you get to that point that, okay, I'm okay with putting my life on hold and I'm taking care of my brother?
It wasn't a decision. It was just a natural course for me. Every time
Okay.
I got sick, every time I needed him, he was always there. So I had to be there for him. I spoke to my daughter. I spoke I made the arrangements that I needed to make. It was for me, it was like a no brainer. I had to be there, you know?
Was there a moment that that you guys could share with us, you know from your standpoint and even from Joey's standpoint, right? Joey, he's facing cancer, never faced this before. Doctor tells him it's a 50-50. I could imagine that it's hard to give, it's hard to stay upbeat or whatever. It was there a moment that you both like closed the door and just cried or just said whatever just to make yourself feel better, just like Joey from saying, hey, I'm tired, I don't want to go through this, or I'm scared. You're saying, no, I don't want to lose you. Was there a moment like that?
For me, there was two moments like that. When they let him go from the hospital and he came home, we brought him to my mom's house, and it just like it wasn't like a full reality yet. Like we just got the news. So him and me just sitting in the living room and just him like, what are we gonna do? Is everything gonna be okay? And I'm just there like, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine because this is who we are. We're fighters and we're gonna be fine. And I think the only time that I honestly broke down is when he had that bad fever and the doctors were not giving us a good prognosis on him. And I just like cried on top of him and I told him, you got to be there for me. You got to promise this to me. That was like, I think one of the hardest moments for me to see my brother like that and just, making him promise me that he's going to be okay. I think that was one of the hard moments for us. Well, for
Yeah.
me personally,
How about you, Joey?
Um, you know, I wasn't gonna let this take me. I've always felt like that. Like I'm not gonna let this take me. You know, when I had the fever she was talking about, uh, that was a bad one. I had a fever that lasted like 3 weeks to a month, and when you get a fever like that, you burn from inside out. So my skin turned very black, and it was peeling and cracking, and I looked horrible. I couldn't walk. There was a time that I was using a walker to walk around. Um, I remember that. I remember that's when you came to the hospital with my two aunts and you prayed. Um, I remember that night. Uh, my mother and my sister left, and they just hugged me and they were crying and they hugged me so hard. And I kept on saying, "I'll see you guys tomorrow. Just go ahead. Everything's gonna be fine." And the funny thing is, I was so weak. I couldn't get up or anything. I couldn't stand. I couldn't walk. And that night after you guys left, I had to use the bathroom. So I decided I'm gonna go on my own. I'm not gonna. I'm not. I'm a grown man. I'm not gonna. It's nothing about pride. It's just I have to do this on my own.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I got up and I went to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I screamed because I was like, "Who is that guy in the mirror? I don't know that person." I looked horrible. And the nurse came in and she yelled at me like, "What are you doing out of bed?" And I was like, "Well, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. I'm not gonna lay there and do nothing. I have to fight too. If God wants me to, he's gonna give me the strength. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna fight." And that's what I did. Um, what happened, as horrible as it was, is something I would never take back.
Mhm.
I believe that in a way, all of us will be broken, and it's up to us to put ourselves back together again. And as a group, we will all be whole. You know, I remember when I got out the hospital, and they told me I was cancer free. The first thing I did was I told my sister, I was like, "We're going to church this weekend.
That's
I
awesome.
have to go. I have to go see our cousin. I have to go see our aunts. I have to tell them that, look, I'm here. They
Yeah.
said I'm good. And I remember we went to that. It was a Saturday. We went to church, and you didn't know we were coming, and we just went in there and we sat there. Your wife came out, and she saw us, and she gave us a big hug, and you came out, and you gave us a hug and you shouted me out in the
Yeah.
church, and it felt good because I said if I when I get out of here, when I'm done, I'm going to church.
Well,
And then
thank God.
we went to go see our aunts.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want it to be like a sad thing. It's funny. We have a younger brother he's special
Needs.
needs. Very high function, and I love him
Right.
to death. His name is Christopher.
Yeah.
And at the time, like I said, I looked horrible. My skin was chapped, and I was black, and I lost all my hair, and I looked like a skeleton. And when they told my mom, "Look, he's getting better. He's gonna be better," so she decided to bring my brother to the hospital, and everybody was telling me, "Oh, you look good. You look great." And I didn't, but everybody was like, "Oh, you look good. You look strong." And she brought my brother to the hospital. He walked into the room and he looked at me and he was like, "Oh my God, you look like crap." And that made me laugh so hard. That
That's
made me
hilarious.
laugh so hard because I was like, finally, somebody honest walked in the
I
walked in
hear
the room
that.
and told me the truth. But I couldn't stop laughing, and
I hear that.
like I said, it is God, you know. Um,
Thank you for it.
when you walked into that hospital with my two aunts and your wife was there,
Mhm.
that was I was at the point, honestly, where at that point I did think to myself, this is it. And then when you came there and prayed and I started to get better, it felt like a miracle. I started to get better within days, and that was something that made me feel like was a sign. That was God saying, we're not done with you.
God's
I
with
mean,
you.
Yeah,
even the doctors were
even the
amazed.
doctors, yeah.
They were like, it was God, because they were at a point that they were telling me and my
My
mother, you know,
Make
maybe you should
arrangements.
think about
yeah,
getting ready.
my
Yeah.
doctor,
Yeah.
I'll never forget. My doctor said this, Dr. Eisler.
Yeah.
She said, "I do not believe in God, but when I saw you heal," she was like, that was definitely him.
Yeah.
I'll never
Wow.
forget that she said that.
Isn't that amazing? That's
Yeah,
amazing. That's a testimony, man.
yeah.
That is a testimony. So we have a few minutes left because I want you to go night night. Um, so I don't believe in coincidence, right? I believe that there's a purpose for everything. So I'm sure that either right now live or in the replay. Sometimes in these things I don't get to see it live, but I do. I they're in that Facebook thing, and you can look at it. I'm sure someone down the line, whether tonight, tomorrow, in the days, weeks, months, and even years to come, is gonna stumble upon this conversation. I want you to take a minute, Joey, right? And then I'm going to ask you, Monica, to do the same. But Joey, you're gonna look at the camera and you're gonna tell someone what to do. Tell someone, give someone hope, right? From your point of view, right? And then from the family support, Monica, look at the camera once he's finished and tell a mother, a daughter, a wife, a husband, a grandchild, a friend, what to do when this happens and when this comes into your life. You feel me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Joey, go ahead.
Um, you have a purpose. That's all that kept on. I kept on repeating to myself over and over and over again that you have a purpose. Even if it looks horrible, you have a purpose. Um, a couple of weeks ago, I work in a school bus company. I work in a risk management. I'm the director of safety. And a couple of weeks ago, there was an accident where one of my drivers ended up going to the hospital. He's okay, thank God. Um, so they told me, Joe, you need to go to the hospital, to go see the driver the day of the accident. And I went and I asked him what hospital it was. And when they told me, it was the hospital that I was in, and he was one floor below that I went there. And I walked into the hospital and I was in complete shock. I turned white. One of my coworkers who went with me was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm fine, I'm fine." And I went to go see the man, and then I told him, "Okay, I'm gonna leave." And I don't know how it happened. I got into the elevator and I pressed the button, and the doors open on the floor that I stayed in. It was University Hospital, North Shore University Hospital. On the 7th floor is the blood cancer ward, and I went there and I walked around, and I'm not ashamed to say that I cried, because I couldn't believe that here I am, a healthy man, where 11 years ago I was one of those people in that room, and I looked in the room that I was staying in, and I saw someone there, and all I could think was, don't give up, because I was there. Don't give up. There was days that I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. There were days that I couldn't get out of bed. There were days that I just slept through the whole day, but I knew that, God had a purpose for me. I knew that I was meant for something, you know. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's just to tell someone, don't give up. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about, I was there. I could have died. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about that. And I pray every single day. And I thank God for me being here today, for waking me up today, for keeping me healthy. I think about that every single day. And it's like I said, he had a purpose for me. He has a purpose for you too. Even if it could be something small. It could just be telling someone have a nice day and making their day brighter, smiling at someone and just passing the word, making them feel happier. I have a good life now. I love what I do. I help people every day, and I think maybe this is my purpose. Maybe my purpose is just to tell someone on this podcast, don't give up.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Monica?
Well, as a family member who is there, all I would say is just be there for them, be their shoulder to cry on. If they feel like yelling and screaming, just be there. You don't know exactly what they're feeling because you're not in that position, but be their rock. Be there, even if it's just the smallest thing. It's just hey, a phone call, something. Just be that support system for that person, because we're all human. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? You just have to have faith in God, and, pray every day that, they're going to be okay. And like, I honestly just wanted us to be there, just to let him know, or, whoever, to know that I'm here in whatever capacity you need me. I'm here. If you want to pray together, we pray together. You want to yell, scream, fight, I'm here. Let me be that board for you, but let me have it, because you know what I'm saying? They're going through a lot, and they need that strength. They need that support. Yes, it's going to be hard seeing them go through that. Yes, you're going to cry a lot. Yes, you're going to laugh a lot. But this is something that, it's good to go through with someone, because, just be that support. It's going to be hard, because it was very hard watching him lay in the hospital. It was hard watching him get chemo. It was just hard coming back from chemo, seeing him sick. I wanted to take that from him, and I wish I can be in that position. But the only thing that I can do is just be there for him, and just whatever he needed me to be, that's what I was there for. If he wanted me to cook for him, guess what? I'm cooking whatever you want. You want to
Awesome.
just scream, yell, pray, whatever, I'm here. Be that support system for that person, because that's what they're going to need the most.
Well, listen, uh, I think that you both have a story to tell. I believe that your platform is the world. In other sense, what I'm trying to say is that you have a story to share, right? Not everybody has had the story you have had, right? Others have gone through what you've gone through and haven't made it, and yet you have been completely healed now for 7 years,
Yep.
and there's a purpose, Joey. There's a purpose, Monica, and this is something that you cannot just keep between yourself and our little family, our little thing. I think you have to find a way to get your story out there. This is one way, right? But you both, when I look at my Facebook, I look at it as my platform, as my preacher's pulpit, if you will, right? Whatever I say, whatever I do, I want to do it to bring God honor, right? And you have a story to tell. You are living proof that God is able. When a doctor says, I don't believe in God, but you know what? It was only him that was able to do for you what he did. That's powerful. It's very hard to get doctors to admit that, right? Because they think that everything starts and ends with them, but it doesn't. And God has no limit. God is able to do above that we may think. Nothing is impossible for God. So I encourage you, Joey, and I encourage you, Monica, to ask God and find a way to get that story out there, that God is able to heal from cancer. You both have your own story. Joey dealing with it, and you putting, Monica putting her life on hold to be with you. And so I'm godly proud of both of you guys. I'm glad. I'm happy, proud that you are. Yeah, that's right. Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
is saying that nothing is impossible for God. That's right.
That's
God
right.
said, God put the question first. He said, "Is there anything impossible for me?" The answer is no. There's nothing impossible. So I'm thank you for sharing your story, Joey. Thank you, Monica, for being here. I'm proud to call you family. We kind of look alike. For those that don't know, Joey and Monica, they are the son and daughter of one of my all-time buddies, right? My uncle Hector. He was a wonderful guy. He went on to be with the Lord, but those are his kids, and so thank you for taking time out, from your busy schedule. I know you gotta go.
Listen, anytime you call,
Anytime
you call, I'm gonna answer.
all you have to do is call. I'm there.
Thank God for you. So again, for those who are listening, thank you for staying up with us. This is Joey Velez and Monica Velez, who have shared their story in this program. This is my story. This is my ministry. This is a ministry that is ordained by God for his people. So I pray that something has been said and shared that will bless you in your relationship with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So again, thank you, family. Go night. Thank you all for being here. I love you. I appreciate you.
I love you too. Love you too.
Talk soon. God bless you.
God bless you. All right.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.